What a Game 5 in Boston last night. You and I watched it together, and it came down to the wire, and it was Drew Holiday who ended up closing the game in Boston.
I want to quote the great American philosopher of the locks, Styles P. It came down to Holiday. Yep. And the thing is, winning championship level plays. Like I said to start this series, I'm watching that point guard battle because without Middleton, if Holiday still outplays Smart, that means the Bucks are gonna win this series regardless. That's what I believe. That's why I'm looking at that matchup. And when you watch a healthy John Morant go against a Steph Curry and they're at their best, or a Luka, those are like big numbered. John Morant hanging all on the rim and dunking on people. Steph Curry unlimited range and Luka putting up arcade type numbers. But these two guys is a rock fight.
Oh yeah.
And I purposely picked these plays, Jacoby, to show you the greatness of Drew Holiday. And I remember, I get so excited about Drew. I was like, Jacoby, he gotta be top 20. He gotta be top 25. And you like, well, you did 15 All-NBA. Was he on that? And I was like, no, but he has to be as a performer for me when I'm watching the game, because the plays that I picked.
You said that's a block before he blocked Marcus Smart.
Correct.
Before it happened, I was watching with you, you said that's a block.
Correct, because he anticipates and angles his body already before the play even happens. The beauty that people see in the 40-point guard is what you and I see in him and Marcus Smart playing against each other, playing defense.
Give me that.
And again, like, they were down, 14 or 16 in the fourth.
Yep.
They were +9 the last 2 minutes. They were 6 for 6 in the fourth quarter from 3. Jason Tatum didn't attempt a field goal in the last minute. So if you're the Bucks, how does that happen? It happens because we're not going to bury the lead. Of course, Giannis is the best player in the game. But the best defensive perimeter player in the game is Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday. That steal at the end, like the gumption to attempt the steal, because that you could get a foul there. And a foul there changes the complete complexion of the game. But that right there, to reach in and get that steal, and look at him, just dribble it out.
Well, I got a million things to say about multiple plays that I have to break down. But I'll talk about the defensive plays in particular. For Marcus Smart now, what ends up happening is he's the blue-collar point guard that's going to win you Defensive Player of the Year on a defensive-oriented team.
Yep.
But usually in situations like that, the people who initiate offense are Jason Tatum or Jalen Brown. So he doesn't have to be a traditional push point guard in those situations. And if you notice, that left-hand handle was kind of wobbly.
Yep.
That's how he lost it. And I'm glad y'all teed these plays up. Look at Drew Holiday, the three he made, the hustle play, and then not the defensive strip. Now Giannis leads to the break, and it ends up back to Drew Holiday. And when you watching the game, I'm telling you, I'm like, Drew Holiday taking this game over.
You did say that. I can't lie. You did. You saw this whole game happen before it happened.
I'm like, this is becoming a Bucks type game. Even when
exactly
Jason
what you
Tatum
said. When they were down by 10 in the fourth quarter, you were like, this is a Bucks game.
But even when Jason Tatum did the crossover and the big dunk over Pat Connaughton, who also been playing well.
I love
Bobby Portis, who been playing well. And again, like, Holiday making a mid-range shot. Holiday making a three. Holiday getting a steal. And how about this, Jacoby? When Giannis was bleeding, and by the way, why was he in the game bleeding? Why don't y'all just stop the game, wipe off the blood? And they decide to finally do it after he was playing with the blood before the free throw. And I look at you and said, that's almost like a stall tactic. I need him to make this first one. When he makes the first one, everybody pay attention to what happened before Bobby Portis gets the tip in. Drew Holiday crashes down from the top.
Like a lead blocker.
He crashes down. There's a reason why look at him crashing down on Marcus Smart. Look, Smart ends up on the floor, creates space for Bobby Portis to get it. Look at this.
Yep.
That's another play for Drew Holiday. That ain't gonna show up in the stat sheet.
No, there's no stat for that.
There is no stat for that. And by the way I see Michael Jordan twinkle toes on the sideline against Charles Oakley and dunk on Patrick Ewing. That's how I see Drew Holiday on that last play. The steal, the block, tiptoeing on the sideline.
Dribble
to keep his poise.
And then throws it off his belly. Winning plays. There's no stat for that.
This is why I feel like for the Boston Celtics, and let me say something else about Giannis. This is what I appreciate. Say less. So when Al Horford dominated him the previous game and dunked all on him and elbowed him in the face, said less. The next game, Al Horford, Grant Williams, 9 total points. 9 total points. That was also a major difference.
Oh,
and Giannis didn't stop
Giannis stopper.
Yeah.
You're the Giannis stopper. Horford and Williams. You're the Giannis stopper now. All of a sudden, we got a solution to this problem. No. There's no solution to this problem. I'm Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Correct.
There's no answer.
Correct. And he made sure of that. And I appreciate how defensively, in particular, that became the Bucks' calling card in order to get a big-time win that now puts them in pole position to close out this series.
You said calling card, and in the late game, the Grizzlies had a calling card as well, and Steph Curry, via Kendra Andrews, used that calling card. Let's listen.
Malika, I also asked Stephen Curry what the plan was tonight, and he just turned around and looked at me and said, "Whoop that trick. That is our game plan."
Jalen, they said whoop that trick before the game. What happened during the game?
Memphis took it personal. And see, they showed me a lot, Jacoby, because I told you there's a difference between winning without Ja in the regular season and the postseason, in particular against the Golden State Warriors.
Yep.
And not only did they beat the Warriors, they waxed the Warriors.
Waxed.
So shout to Tyus Stones, shout to Triple J, who was knocking down threes, Desmond Bain, who basically, those guys, you ready for this? And Melton were unguardable for the Splash Brothers.
Unguardable.
Were unguardable. When you look at those highlights, like really look at them. That's Steph. That's Clay. That's Poole. They taking those
They
buckets.
got whatever they wanted last night. Whatever they wanted. They should have won Game 4. I'm mad they didn't win Game 4.
But Jacoby, they didn't just win by 5 or 15. There was a point they was up 50.
I was asleep.
There was a point that they were up 50. And I have to say this, as 3-6 Mafia won awards for what they did in Hustle and Flow, and shout to my brother Terrence Howard, Anthony Anderson, Ludacris. I'm glad that their song to the soundtrack was not only award-winning, but it was game-changing and groundbreaking in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Because now we see networks and audiences that don't necessarily look like me, that probably initially the theme of that record was going over people's head and what that was about, to now see that song be mainstream. And now, for me personally,
but Draymond Green during the loss was hyping up the crowd when they said whoop that trick. We'll show it to you right now.
Well,
Look.
The one thing I like about Memphis, I can tell whoever does their sound love Jalen and Jacoby. Because I remember years ago when we had the E40, nope. They were one of the first arenas that I paid attention to because this is what I do for a living.
Yeah, they had the note.
They were actually doing that. And this is a graduation of that. And I appreciate them owning not only the team, that's what I mean. Put at the bottom of the screen right now that John Morant signs an extension with Memphis. He ain't going nowhere.
Nowhere.
This ain't even about the team. They're investing in the city. You see what I mean? And when the city come out and watch them and support them, and all of the artists and all the sitting front row, suited and booted and iced down, like, I appreciate that. And we brought Juicy J on the program. It's gonna be a lot of people that talk about the song. I need to see 3-6 getting more interviews. How about that?
It is time for Soft Move or Boss Move. Nikola Jokic won back-to-back MVP awards, and he accepted the trophy with his horses while riding a horse and cart. Jalen Rose, sophomore boss move, getting the MVP trophy with a horse and a cart.
That's definitely a boss move, and you know it.
And that horse is working hard. That's a big man.
And you know it. And by the way, like, just being from Michigan and, like, I can't wait to go to Central Park one day, see if I could get in one of those horse and carriages. Like, that's one of the things, that's one of the things you visualized years ago I did, like, about New York City. You know what I'm saying?
Expensive.
And here's what I'll say about the big fella. He didn't win the award other than his sure dominance. He's the only player since they started keeping each of the stats to lead his team in points, rebounds, assists. Take a deep breath. Blocks, steals, and field goal percentage.
Ooh.
In the same season. That's why he got my MVP vote.
Regular season award, he was the best regular season player. He really was. I mean, to have 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, 500 assists, to be the first to ever do it, that gets you the MVP trophy in Serbia with the horses. Shout out to his horses. That sounds
Horse
like
and
work.
carriage is for hire. Mamacita. Please, senorita.
We have 2 game 6s tonight, 2 teams that need wins to stay alive. We'll get you ready for those right
We're
after
gonna rise to the top. That's what he believes. The thing is, he's going to have to play like it in the next game. That's the beauty of sports. And you're right. They are tough when they're up. That's the privilege of winning. And Devin Booker took that privilege by the way he led his team.
He looked
how
good.
Bridges played a lot better and how Ayton played a lot better. It was good to see the Phoenix Suns spread the wealth the way they did. But I, with these 4 eyes, cannot ignore something that I had never seen.
What's that?
The last 3 games, Chris Paul has 7 turnovers in the first half. He had 4 fouls in the first half, and he didn't have 10 points in the last game. Now, the crazy thing about that, like, inept productivity we had never seen from the point guard who's relying on prayer these last couple of games. He's going to need it, Jacoby. And in all honesty, I believe while Reggie Bullock and Finney Smith have done a terrific job of harassing him, a lot of that's going to continue. A lot of that's going to continue. And the reason why, he normally doesn't play against guards that try to post him up all of the time. And it's one thing to have Luka with his size that's going to post up Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges post me up. But Jalen Brunson posting him up, I know that's a mental exercise for him. I hated somebody smaller than me trying to post me up. You see what I'm saying?
Disrespect.
Exactly.
It's the idea.
Correct.
You're doing what now? But Jalen Brunson's getting away with it and getting fouls on
Correct.
Chris Paul. And Chris Paul has not been himself.
Correct.
He has not been himself.
And that's why they're making him play in the mud. They're forcing him to guard on the perimeter defensively. They're forcing him to guard on the post, and in return, they're picking him up 94 feet, trying to take the ball out of his hands. And that's terrific coaching and game plan execution. But when I see Dallas return home, like, Luka didn't play extraordinarily well these last couple of games.
Not in the last couple of games. No.
I think this is his chance to have a big night.
Well, remember last time they were in Dallas, they hit all those threes.
Correct. 20 plus threes.
Yeah, do you remember game 4? Just everyone was hitting everything. Mm-hmm. And I feel like at home, that might happen again in game 6.
I wouldn't be surprised. You're going to need that. But you know what else you're going to need? Luka being efficient and more playmaking. 2 assists in the previous game. The whole team had 9. They're going to more ball movement, more player movement, more cutting. That's usually what you get at home, especially from your role players.
The Mavs need this one at home, and so do the Philadelphia 76ers. They face elimination this evening at home, game 6 against the Heat. Joel Embiid is back. James Harden had a big game, but didn't have a big game in the last game. What can the Sixers do to win this one?
The top 5 people in the MVP voting were Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, Luka, and Tatum. I believe Luka's going to have a major game, which flips the page, this should be the Embiid dominant game.
Only 17 in game 5.
In particular, the way they just lost. That's the thing I want to point out. They just lost by 35. Like, they had a chance to press the Heat. You know what I mean? Yeah, you was down 0-2, you tied up. Joel shows courage by returning, playing through injury, wearing a mask. And then y'all lose like that.
They got whacked.
You know what I'm saying? And then y'all lose like that. So tonight, while you need Harden, of course, to be aggressive, and you want Maxey to have a big offensive game, and Danny Green made a lot of threes when they played at home prior. But this has to be the Embiid game. And I believe it will be, just like Luka. And therefore, both of those series, in my opinion, go 7.
Ooh, interesting predictions from Jalen Anthony Rose. Now, a team that we haven't spoken about because they got swept by the Celtics, the Nets. Here is what Nets GM, your former teammate, Sean Marks, said about the roster.
We haven't had any of those discussions yet, so it'd be unfair for me to comment on, how it looks with us and Kyrie, because to be quite frank, he has some decisions to make on his own. So he has to look at what he's going to do with his player option and so forth like that. But I think we know what we're looking for. We're looking for guys that want to come in here, be part of something bigger than themselves, play selfless, play team basketball, and be available. And that goes not only for Kyrie, but for everybody here.
Jalen, translate that from GM speak to English.
You're just speaking truth into power. And what ends up happening is that your best players should have autonomy on the decisions that the organization makes. If they're all-time great players like Kevin Durant, they get more autonomy. That's the gift. The curse is if the things that you oversee or you put your fingerprints on don't work. And there had to be a time where he and Kyrie looked at management and said, let's bring in Steve Nash. Let's bring in James Harden. So now when those moves happen, and then James Harden realized that Kyrie Irving's not going to get vaccinated, he looks at KD and says, that's your man. Y'all had me come from Houston, and now he won't get vaccinated, so we won't win at all. I don't want to be here anymore. So now here's another domino. Now you have to trade for Simmons during the year, who doesn't even play for you.
Yep.
You give up 2 picks, Andre Drummond and Seth Curry. So now we need to reevaluate this relationship. So now it's going to be this. We need players, all of them, not just Kyrie, to be invested. But here's the fine print. So now before they sign Kyrie to he's going to use his player option, and he's going to get a max deal. But before they do that max deal, here's what they're going to say. Hey, KD, before we sign this for Kyrie, I need you to make sure you see that we need him to be invested, and he promised to be. Cool? Sign. So now, after the point we sign, if that doesn't happen, I then go to you again and say, he ain't holding up his end of the bargain, I'm gonna move him. So you can't be mad at me. We talked about this. And that's the professional protocol I see them laying.
I just want Ben Simmons to be healthy and playing basketball for the Brooklyn Nets. That's what I really want to see. I want to see what happens when you have Kyrie, KD, and Ben Simmons all in uniform, all healthy.
Joe Harris.
All playing.
Joe Harris.
Again, yep. I feel bad for Tua. Man, I hope Tua has a great year. I want to see him succeed.
He is.
I want to see
We're
him
going to go to some
succeed.
Dolphin games.
We'll be back on Monday, actually. ESPN
Yes, we
2,
will.
4 p.m.
Thank you. You're far too kind.